Carlos, tell me, how long have you been in this country?
I have been in Canada for about 12 years, just shy of 12
Yeah, and do you now feel like you're a Canadian?
years. I do. I had a citizenship ceremony about 4.5 years ago,
Yeah,
so I think that was the closure I was looking for in order to feel fulfilled, I guess, like fully a participant of this society.
yeah. You said fulfilled. Did you not feel fulfilled before?
I did not feel or feel fulfilled before my citizenship because I couldn't vote. So if I want to complain about politics, if I want to discuss politics with friends, I felt that because I had not done my part, I had not voted, so my voice wasn't that important. It became just nagging, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So once I was able to vote, I think I felt more comfortable um, with, I guess, like the decisions or being part of the Canadian culture, I guess.
Now, is voting the only way you can contribute to politics?
Oh, definitely not. But that was like a sort of like a, to me, it was just something I needed in a way to have that um, process in my brain, I guess. Like I could, and I was contributing to the Canadian politics before I could vote, but that was, it was just like figurative, I guess. Like was something that I needed to have
Mm-hmm.
in order to, for myself actually, to feel that
Mm-hmm.
now I'm fully contributing.
Right.
Which is the biggest city in Brazil. Um, Coming to Canada wasn't really planned. It wasn't really like a dream.
Mm-hmm.
It was circumstantial, I guess. So my plans were to actually move to, or at least spend a year or so in Spain.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a friend living in Canada, working for a not-for-profit organization in Richmond Hill, which is just outside of Toronto. And at that point, he said, well, why don't you come to Canada before going to Spain? Come to Canada for a year, visit the country, go around and like learn a few things, and then you go to Spain.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was a great opportunity to actually leave Brazil. That was my main goal. It was to get myself out of the country. And I said, okay, I will try it. So he referred me to the organization. My story is a bit boring because there's not a lot of adventures. I didn't have to do anything, complex to get here, because everything was really simple and straightforward. So I had an interview on the phone with the recruiter for the organization. She thought I was a great person to come, so after the interview, a couple of months later, I received a letter saying, hey, we would like you to come.
Mm-hmm.
But wasn't a contract yet, so I wasn't taking that really serious. So at the same time, I was trying to arrange to go to Spain, right? But and then a few weeks later, I got a letter with a contract, and I said, yeah, so you just need to send us the contract back. And from that moment, so I went to the shop mall, I bought a luggage, and came to Canada with all my wardrobe, with everything fit in one piece of suitcase and backpack. So I came here, my intention was to stay here for a year. My intention was to be here only for that year and leave to go to Barcelona. Let me start from saying that I did not know much about Canada. I knew about Toronto. I knew about Vancouver. I have a cousin that's been living in Vancouver, I don't know, for 20 years. I knew a little bit about the Quebec province, and then I knew about polar bears and the extreme territories. When I got here, I moved to Richmond Hill. So Richmond Hill is a very small city, a very interesting city, and I moved in within the organization I was working for. So I was working for an organization called L'Arche,
Mm-hmm.
and I was living in one of their homes. So it was quite interesting. It was the first time in my life I had shared home with 9 people, people with and without intellectual disabilities. So it was quite interesting. It was a shock to be in Richmond Hill because it was such a tiny city. And my first impact here was like learning that I was learning English in Brazil in an Australian English school. And then when I got here, I thought the Canadians had an accent. But actually, I was learning Australian English, so it was quite funny to adapt to the language. So once I got to the organization, again, the idea was stay for 1 year. After my 6 months here, I went to the HR and I asked if I could actually extend that year to a year and a half because I want to go visit the West Coast. And they said, no, you can actually stay for as long as you want. So I stayed an extra year. And then when it was about the end of the second year, I asked them if I could stay a third year. They said, you can stay as long as you want. And then halfway through the third year, I got an email from my HR saying, hey, here's a suggestion. So you're probably going to ask us to stay again. So here is a letter, and here is a document from the government. So go do your permanent residency in the country. So I had not thought about that. And that was great. And I said, well, the organization did half of the work for me already. And so I just found a lawyer, gave all the papers to the lawyer, and the work I did was pretty much signing the forms. And the lawyer said and wrote whatever they need to write to the government. So that's why I say by moving to Canada it was seamless, so a bit boring. 11 months later, I got my permanent residency card. I had to leave the country. I went to Niagara Falls, crossed the bridge, had an hour interview with American officials, and then came back to Canada, got my PR card. So again, there wasn't much of an adventure there.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 years after that, I applied for my citizenship in the country, and I got it in about 4 months. And I did my ceremony, and I became a Canadian citizen. Funny story now is that I haven't been back to Brazil in almost 6 years, 6.5 years. And I might need to go back to Brazil this year, and I realized that I don't have a passport anymore. It's been expiring for 3 years. So, yeah, so that's the story of me coming to Canada and deciding to stay.
Tell me about your love life.
So
Is your partner from this country or okay?
we joke that I adopted my partner because my partner is from Ireland,
Mm-hmm.
and my partner landed as an immigrant to Canada through a sponsorship, what it's called, a sponsorship immigration process, and only got the immigration in Canada because I signed the paper saying that I was able to financially support my partner for a period of time. I think it was 12 months, if I'm not mistaken. My partner got a PR card 2 years ago. 2 years ago, exactly. Yeah, it was June 2 years ago. So we met at Beer Bistro, which is a pub on Yonge and King. So we were in a same-sex relationship. We have not decided if we're getting married next year or the year next, the year after. But yeah, we met in a pub, and we were together for about 6 months. I used to live with my best friend. She's from Canada, and we were living together for a while. And my partner was living with a few people in Scarborough, and he needed a place to move out of the house. And my best friend, without consulting me, actually invited my boyfriend at that time to move in with us without me knowing that. So they made the decision without me being in that meeting. And that was when we were together for only 6 months. So we moved in together, and we have been together since then. We're planning to buy a rural home in Canada, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's been going well. his parents come every year, or we go to Ireland. He has never been to Brazil yet. For some reason, tickets to Brazil are extremely expensive. But he has met my mom, and my mom came to visit with her sister, um, and my sister is on Skype, and yeah, it's going well.
Would it be different if
Wedding. One of my dear friends from childhood was getting married, and so I went. It was literally 3 days. I went there on Friday. I arrived on Friday and I left on Sunday. So I went literally for the wedding on Saturday and came back. I do not have any interest of spending more than I think a week would be my limit in Brazil. Like, it's a country that I never related to.
Mhm.
It never felt comfortable. A lot of my friends say that you were born in the wrong country. At this point in my life, I do agree with that. I never felt I never felt the way I feel here. There was never a sense of belonging, um, as what I found here. So,
So you said something about belonging. What are the indicators that you actually feel like you belong here?
being true to myself, I think, was one of the indicators I could be my true self without having to go, like without being as marginalized as I was in Brazil. Um, we lived double lives basically, like me and some of my friends. We were ourselves in the clubs, usually not clubs in the city. I come from a city that's not as big as São Paulo, and there's still a lot of discrimination, I guess. And just a quick story. I decided, or I felt that I was more included in society after I think my third year here, and that to me was when people start relating to me as a very important part of the community I was living in, instead of like another immigrant, or instead of like, oh, this is just another person from Brazil. There's like thousands of them around. No, this is our friend Carlos. Carlos is a resident of Canada, and I think that it's when it started changing to me, and that's when I fully decided that I did not want to leave Canada. I did not want to go to Spain anymore. I did not want to go back to Brazil. I wanted just to stay and do that life here. So it was about like after my third year here. It was when I truly felt I found a place, so I feel that I belong. And it's important for me. Like, I'm a community type of person. And when I moved out of Brazil and I moved to Canada to live in community, as I said, I was living in an organization called L'Arche, but this organization built community. So I was living in a house with another 9 people, but in a 5-acre property. There were other 8 houses. We had like everyone felt that they belonged in that community, and so that to me was really important, having that community. It was really a really strong part of who I became was because of that place.
Great.
I am Canada.